A woman rescued a freezing puppy. Months later, the vet made a terrifying discovery. Emily Chen thought she was just saving a dying puppy from the bitter Oregon cold. But as she nursed it back to health, something wasn't quite right. The strange markings, unusual behaviors, and those haunting amber eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness, they all led to a shocking revelation that would turn her world upside down. What started as an act of kindness would soon force her to make the hardest decision of her life. Before we dive into this incredible story, take a moment to share where you're watching from in the comments below. Your story might be more connected to this than you think. The November rain fell in sheets across Pine Valley, Oregon, turning the fallen leaves into a slick carpet beneath Emily Chen's feet. As a wildlife photographer, she was used to being out in all weather conditions, but something about this stormy evening felt different. The wind carried an unusual sound, a weak, desperate cry that made her stop in her tracks. Emily had been walking along Cedar Ridge Trail, taking photos of the storm-driven patterns in the clouds when she heard it. At first, she thought it was just the wind playing tricks, but there it was again, a sound that tugged at her heart and wouldn't let go. Following the cries, she carefully made her way down a muddy embankment, her camera bouncing against her hip with each step. The sound led her to a hollow beneath an old cedar tree. There, curled up and shivering, was what looked like a puppy. Its thin body was soaked to the bone, and it barely moved when Emily's flashlight beam found it. Without hesitation, she shrugged off her waterproof jacket and gently wrapped the trembling creature inside. "Hold on, little one," she whispered, cradling the bundle close to her chest. The nearest vet was Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital, where her friend Dr. Rebecca Morgan worked. On phone call and 20 minutes of careful driving through the storm later, Emily burst through the clinic's doors, the precious bundle still held tight against her. Dr. Morgan, known to everyone as Becca, was just finishing up with her last patient of the day when Emily arrived. One look at the soaked puppy, and her professional demeanor kicked into high gear. "Maria, we need warming blankets and fluid therapy, stat!" she called to her veterinary technician. Maria Rodriguez rushed to gather supplies while Becca carefully examined their unexpected patient. Under the bright exam room lights, the puppy's condition became clear. It was tiny, perhaps just a few weeks old, with unusually fine fur that did little to protect it from the elements. But as Becca's experienced hands moved over the creature, her brow furrowed slightly. Something about the bone structure, the ear placement, the length of the limbs, it all seemed just a bit off. Emily paced nervously nearby, her own clothes still dripping on the clinic floor. "Will it survive?" she asked, watching as Maria efficiently set up an IV line. Becca nodded slowly, her eyes never leaving their patient. "We'll do everything we can, but Emily, where exactly did you find it? Were there any signs of other puppies or a mother nearby?" The answer was no. Just this lone pup, abandoned in the storm. As the evening wore on, the tiny creature began to respond to treatment. Its breathing steadied, and its body temperature slowly climbed back to normal. But with each passing hour, Becca's subtle concerns grew. The puppy's responses weren't quite what she expected, and its vocalizations seemed unusual. Emily found herself returning to the clinic daily to check on the puppy's progress. Each visit revealed new peculiarities. The way it tracked movement was different from other puppies she'd known. Its eyes, now fully open, held an intelligence that seemed beyond its apparent age. And then there were the sounds it made. Not quite barks, not quite whines, but something in between that made the other animals in the clinic fall strangely silent. A week into its recovery, the puppy was strong enough to move around. Its coordination was remarkable for its size, and it showed an uncanny ability to problem solve. When Maria set up a simple feeding puzzle that usually challenged 12-week-old puppies, their rescue figured it out in minutes. "I've never seen anything quite like it," Becca admitted, watching the pup systematically work through the puzzle. The mystery deepened when Mrs. Dorothy Baker, whose house bordered Cedar Ridge Trail, came into the clinic with an unusual story. She'd been hearing strange noises at night, unlike any local wildlife she'd known in her 30 years living there. And she wasn't the only one. Other residents had reported similar experiences in the weeks before Emily found the puppy. Becca decided it was time to consult an expert. She sent detailed photos and videos to Dr. James Wilson, a renowned wildlife specialist at the Evergreen Wildlife Research Center. His response came faster than expected, along with a request to examine the pup in person. There was an urgency in his message that made Becca uneasy. Dr. Wilson arrived. The next morning, his weathered face serious as he studied their mysterious patient. He took measurements, photographs, and detailed notes, occasionally muttering under his breath. Finally, he straightened up and asked everyone to join him in Becca's office. The news he shared would change everything. "What you have here," he began carefully, "is not a domestic dog. Based on my observations and the data we've gathered, this appears to be a Mexican wolf pup, critically endangered and absolutely protected under federal law." The silence that followed was deafening. Emily felt her heart skip a beat as Dr. Wilson continued explaining the implications of this discovery. The Mexican wolf, nearly extinct in the wild, was part of a carefully managed recovery program. This pup's presence in Oregon, hundreds of miles from any known population, raised serious questions. DNA tests would later confirm Dr. Wilson's identification, but they would also reveal something even more extraordinary. This pup came from a previously unknown bloodline, potentially crucial for the species' survival. For Emily, the revelation was devastating. Over the past weeks, she'd grown deeply attached to the pup. She'd named it Storm, spent hours by its enclosure, and even started planning how to adapt her home for a dog. But this wasn't a dog, and keeping it would be more than illegal. It would be detrimental to the survival of an entire species. Officer Kate Sullivan from Wildlife Enforcement arrived to assess the situation. She was sympathetic but firm. Pup needed to be transferred to a specialized facility where it could be properly prepared for eventual release into the wild. Every day it spent around humans made that goal more challenging. The next few days passed in a blur of paperwork and preparations. Emily threw herself into photographing the pup, creating a detailed record of their time together. Becca carefully documented every aspect of its medical care, information that would prove valuable for future wildlife rehabilitation efforts. Maria spent extra time preparing special meals, knowing each one might be the last she'd make for their extraordinary patient. The morning of the transfer arrived with a bitter sweetness. The pup, no longer the helpless creature Emily had found in the storm, stood alert in its transport carrier. Its amber eyes seemed to hold both wisdom and wildness, as if it had always known it belonged to something greater than a domestic life could offer. Dr. Wilson supervised the transfer personally, explaining how the pup would first go to a specialized facility where it would be gradually introduced to others of its kind. "These wolves are social animals," he explained. "It needs to learn how to be part of a pack, how to hunt, how to survive in the wild. What you've done here, saving it, caring for it, that was just the first step in its journey home." 6 months later, Emily received a package from the Evergreen Wildlife Research Center. Inside was a USB drive containing footage from a remote camera in a protected wilderness area. The video showed a healthy young wolf, now almost fully grown, running with a pack. Though its face had matured, Emily immediately recognized those distinctive amber eyes. The accompanying note explained that the pup's unique genetics had already contributed to strengthening the recovery program. But the story didn't end there. Emily's photographs and documentation of the experience had caught the attention of wildlife conservation organizations. She was offered a position as a professional photographer for their wolf recovery program, turning her passion for photography into a career dedicated to protecting these magnificent creatures. Sometimes, doing the right thing opens unexpected doors. Today, whenever Emily visits Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital, she and Becca often remind each other of those intense weeks when their lives were changed by a mysterious puppy that turned out to be so much more. The experience taught them that sometimes the most important acts of kindness require letting go, and that doing what's right isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. If this story touched your heart, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. There are more incredible tales of discovery, sacrifice, and unexpected joy coming your way. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done in Emily's situation? Sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most beautiful outcomes. And remember, next time you hear an unusual sound in the wilderness or come across an animal in need, you might just be about to embark on your own extraordinary journey. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Stay tuned for our next story. You won't believe what a deep-sea diver discovered in an underwater cave that had scientists questioning everything they thought they knew. As the first rays of dawn crept through the clinic windows, Dr. Rebecca Morgan's concern deepened with each new observation. The creature they'd rescued from Cedar Ridge Trail lay sleeping in the intensive care unit, its chest rising and falling with a rhythm unlike anything she'd encountered in her years of veterinary practice. The monitor beside the enclosure displayed vital signs that seemed to fluctuate in patterns that defied conventional medical knowledge. Maria Rodriguez arrived early for her shift, her experienced eyes immediately noting the tension in Becca's shoulders as she stood watching their unusual patient. The night shift had reported several strange occurrences, other animals in the clinic becoming unusually quiet when the puppy vocalized, and electronic equipment experiencing unexplained interference during its most active periods. "I've never seen readings like these," Becca murmured, showing Maria the night's charts. The puppy's body temperature fluctuated in precise 30-minute intervals. Its heart rate followed patterns that seemed almost mathematically precise, and its brainwave activity exceeded anything they'd recorded in canines before. Maria leaned closer to the monitors, her forehead creasing as she studied the data. The morning brought their first real challenge with the mysterious creature. As Becca attempted to draw blood for routine testing, the puppy's eyes snapped open, revealing irises that seemed to shift color in the fluorescent lighting, from amber to almost silver and back again. The needle barely touched its skin before the pup moved with impossible speed, its reflexes far exceeding what should be possible for an animal its age and condition. Emily Chen arrived at 9, her camera bag slung over her shoulder and dark, circles under her eyes, suggesting she'd spent the night processing the photos from yesterday's rescue. She found Becca in the lab, surrounded by microscope slides and medical reference books. On the computer screen, images of the puppy's blood. Work displayed cellular structures that made no sense, formations that seemed to defy biological classification. "There's something else," Becca said, motioning Emily closer. She pulled up a series of thermal images taken during the night. The puppy's heat signature didn't match any known canine pattern. Instead, it showed unusual concentrations of energy around its brain and along its spine, creating patterns that reminded Emily of aurora borealis photographs she'd taken in Alaska. Outside the clinic, Pine Valley was waking up to an unusually quiet morning. The local wildlife, typically active at dawn, seemed subdued. Mrs. Dorothy Baker, whose property bordered the clinic, reported that her chickens refused to leave their coop, and the neighborhood dogs had been acting strangely since dawn, all facing the direction of the veterinary hospital with unusual focus. By mid-morning, the puppy had begun displaying behaviors that challenged everything Becca thought she knew about canine development. It solved complex puzzle feeders meant for adult dogs in seconds, showed an understanding of cause and effect that surpassed even the most intelligent breeds, and appeared to be studying the clinic's security cameras with unsettling attention. David Chen, Emily's brother and a computer science professor at the local community college, arrived around noon to help document the puppy's unusual behaviors. He set up specialized recording equipment, hoping to capture data that might help explain the electromagnetic disturbances reported by the night staff. Within minutes of activation, his instruments began registering readings that made him question their calibration. The afternoon brought more inexplicable events. During a routine examination, the lights in the clinic flickered in perfect synchronization with the puppy's heartbeat. The clinic's state-of-the-art medical equipment began displaying impossible readings. Oxygen levels that fluctuated wildly, brain activity that exceeded known parameters, and electromagnetic outputs that shouldn't be possible in a living organism. Mark Thompson, the local park ranger, stopped by with unsettling news from Cedar Ridge Trail. Wildlife patterns in the area had changed dramatically over the past 24 hours. Motion-activated cameras along the trail had captured footage of normally territorial species gathering in unusual groups, all oriented toward the location where Emily had found the puppy. As evening approached, the puppy's behavior became increasingly difficult to rationalize. It appeared to be responding to stimuli that neither Becca nor Maria could detect, turning its head to track invisible movement and reacting to sounds beyond human hearing range. The other animals in the clinic began exhibiting synchronized behavior, falling silent at precise intervals that corresponded with the puppy's rest periods. Dr. Sarah Martinez from the Regional Wildlife Testing Lab arrived unannounced, having received preliminary blood work results that she refused to discuss over the phone. Her usual professional composure cracked slightly as she reviewed the latest data with Becca. The genetic markers they were seeing didn't align with any known canine species, domestic or wild. The sun had set by the time Emily finished reviewing her photos from the rescue. Something in the images caught her attention, a strange luminescence around the puppy that she initially dismissed as lens flare. But as she enhanced the photos, the pattern became clearer, revealing what appeared to be a structured energy field surrounding the creature. That night, as Becca prepared to leave Maria in charge of the evening shift, the puppy did something that removed any remaining doubt about its extraordinary nature. The clinic's security cameras captured it rising from its bed, its movements, displaying a grace that seemed almost ethereal. For a brief moment, its shadow on the wall didn't match its physical form, instead showing the outline of something far larger and more ancient than any ordinary canine. Officer Kate Sullivan arrived the next morning, responding to reports of unusual animal behavior in the area. She found Becca, Emily, and Maria reviewing the night's security footage, their faces pale with the realization that they were dealing with something far beyond their experience. The puppy watched them from its enclosure, its eyes reflecting a knowledge that seemed impossible for any ordinary creature to possess. As they gathered in Becca's office to discuss their next steps, the air grew heavy with unspoken questions. The evidence before them painted a picture that challenged their understanding of what was possible. Blood work that defied analysis, behavior that suggested intelligence far beyond any known species, and energy patterns that seemed to influence the natural world around them. Every new piece of information only deepened the mystery. Dr. James Wilson's arrival was preceded by an unusual calm settling over the clinic. The renowned wildlife specialist had cancelled all his appointments and driven through the night after receiving Becca's preliminary report. His face was grave as he studied the accumulated data, occasionally glancing at the puppy through the observation window with an expression that mixed awe with concern. The gravity of their situation became clear as Dr. Wilson shared his initial thoughts. This wasn't just a case of an unusual animal or an unknown species. They were dealing with something that could fundamentally change our understanding of life on Earth. The implications of their discovery reached far beyond the walls of Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital. As the sun set on their second day with the mysterious creature, none of them could have predicted how their lives would change in the coming weeks. The simple act of rescuing what appeared to be an abandoned puppy had set in motion events that would challenge their understanding of nature, science, and reality itself. The night deepened, and the puppy's eyes seemed to reflect more than just the ambient light. In them, those who dared to look deeply enough might see something ancient and powerful, a mystery that was only beginning to unfold. The real question wasn't just what they had found, but what it would mean for all of them, and perhaps for the world itself. Thunder rolled in the distance as Becca made her final notes of the day, the sound emphasizing the gravity of their situation. Whatever they were dealing with, it was becoming increasingly clear that this was just the beginning of a journey that would test their courage, challenge their beliefs, and ultimately force them to question everything they thought they knew about the natural world. In the quiet hours before dawn, as Maria monitored their extraordinary patient, the puppy raised its head and let out a sound that was neither bark nor howl, but something that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of reality. In that moment, everyone present knew with absolute certainty that their lives would never be the same again. The regional wildlife testing lab hummed with activity as Dr. Sarah Martinez stared at her computer screen, her third cup of coffee growing cold beside her keyboard. The genetic sequencing results from Pine Valley's mysterious puppy filled her monitor with data that defied every principle of biology she'd learned in her 20 years of research. Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up her phone to call. "Dr. Wilson, the mitochondrial DNA analysis is complete," she said, her voice barely above a whisper despite being alone in her office. "James, this isn't just unusual, it's impossible. The genetic markers show characteristics we've never seen before in any canine species, living or extinct." The silence on the other end of the line stretched for several heartbeats before Dr. Wilson responded with instructions to secure all the data and restrict access to the lab immediately. Back at Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital, Becca worked methodically through another set of tests, each result adding another piece to an increasingly bizarre puzzle. The puppy's blood samples exhibited properties that seemed to defy the laws of cellular biology. Under the microscope, its cells appeared to be in a constant state of transformation, shifting and adapting in ways that shouldn't be possible in a living organism. Emily Chen had set up a sophisticated camera array around the puppy's enclosure, capturing every movement in high-definition video and infrared. The footage revealed patterns of movement and behavior that seemed choreographed with mathematical precision. The creature's interactions with its environment suggested not just intelligence, but a deep understanding of physical laws that went beyond instinct. Maria Rodriguez meticulously documented each feeding session, noting how the puppy's food preferences changed according to what appeared to be complex astronomical cycles. It would only accept certain combinations of nutrients during specific phases of the moon, and its water consumption followed patterns that correlated perfectly with local tidal charts. Despite Pine Valley being hundreds of miles from the ocean, the atmosphere in the clinic had transformed. Standard medical equipment malfunctioned in the puppy's presence, displaying readings that should be impossible. Digital thermometers showed temperatures fluctuating between extremes without any apparent effect on the creature's health. Heart monitors detected multiple rhythms playing out simultaneously, like an orchestra performing a complex symphony of life. David Chen's specialized equipment had recorded electromagnetic frequencies emanating from the puppy that matched no known natural or artificial source. The patterns seemed to carry information, complex sequences that repeated with variations, suggesting some form of communication. He spent sleepless nights analyzing the data, convinced they were on the verge of discovering something revolutionary. Officer Kate Sullivan's investigation into local wildlife behavior had uncovered more unexplained phenomena. Animals throughout Pine Valley had begun exhibiting synchronized behaviors that defied natural patterns. Nocturnal species appeared during daylight hours, predator and prey gathered in peaceful proximity, and birds flew in formations that seemed to mirror the mathematical sequences observed in the puppy's movements. Mrs. Dorothy Baker reported that her prized rose garden, which had been struggling in the November cold, suddenly burst into full bloom overnight. The flowers oriented themselves toward the clinic, their colors more vivid than any she'd seen in her 50 years of gardening. Soil samples from the area showed unprecedented levels of growth hormones and beneficial bacteria. As the sun rose, on another extraordinary day, Dr. Wilson arrived at the clinic with a team of specialists from various scientific disciplines. Among them was Dr. Elena Rossi, a quantum physicist whose recent work on biological systems had challenged conventional understanding of life itself. Her equipment, designed to detect quantum entanglement in living tissue, began producing readings the moment she entered the building. "This goes beyond biology," Dr. Rossi explained, her Italian accent thickening with excitement as she studied the displays. "We're seeing quantum coherence at a macroscopic level, something that should be impossible in a warm, living system. This creature appears to be maintaining quantum states that collapse instantly in all other known organisms." The puppy watched the proceedings with those impossible eyes, tracking the movements of each scientist with an awareness that seemed to transcend physical limitations. When Dr. Rossi attempted to take readings directly, the creature appeared to respond by altering its quantum signature in precise, deliberate ways, as if it were communicating through the fundamental forces of reality itself. Mark Thompson arrived with new data from the Cedar Ridge Trail monitoring stations. The electromagnetic anomalies first observed around the puppy had begun appearing throughout the forest, creating patterns that matched ancient geometric formations found in archaeological sites around the world. The trees along the trail had started growing in impossible ways, their branches weaving together to form structures that seemed to serve some unknown purpose. By mid-afternoon, the clinic had become a hub of scientific activity. Researchers from various fields worked together, trying to understand how this single creature could challenge so many fundamental assumptions about biology, physics, and the nature of life itself. Each new observation seemed to open dozens of new questions, leading them deeper into uncharted territory. Dr. Martinez's genetic analysis had revealed something even more extraordinary. The puppy's DNA appeared to be actively rewriting itself, incorporating and improving upon genetic sequences from every species it encountered. This wasn't just adaptation, it was directed evolution occurring in real time, guided by what seemed to be conscious intent. Emily's latest photographs captured something that defied explanation, a field of visible energy surrounding the puppy that appeared to interact with the quantum field measurements Dr. Rossi was recording. The patterns matched theoretical models of higher dimensional structures that had previously existed only in advanced physics equations. As evening approached, the assembled scientists gathered in the clinic's conference room to share their findings. The atmosphere was charged with a mixture of excitement and apprehension, as each specialist presented data that challenged the foundations of their respective fields. Dr. Wilson stood at the head of the table, his expression grave as he considered the implications of their discoveries. "What we're dealing with," he began carefully, "appears to be something that transcends our current scientific understanding. This creature exhibits characteristics that suggest it might be," he paused, choosing his words with precision, "something that has evolved beyond the constraints of conventional biology." The puppy's enclosure had been equipped with every possible monitoring device, each adding another layer to their growing understanding of its extraordinary nature. The creature's cellular structure appeared to exist in multiple quantum states. Simultaneously, its genetic code contained information density that exceeded known biological limits, and its consciousness, if that was even the right term, seemed to operate on principles that defied current models of cognition. Dr. Rossi's quantum measurements revealed that the puppy was generating fields that affected the very fabric of space-time around it. These fields appeared to be expanding, subtly altering the physical constants within their area of influence. The implications were staggering. This single creature might be capable of fundamentally changing the nature of reality itself. As night fell, the scientists continued their work under the harsh fluorescent lights of the clinic. The puppy had begun emanating patterns of bioluminescence that corresponded perfectly with the quantum fluctuations Dr. Rossi was measuring. The light seemed to carry information, creating three-dimensional holographic structures in the air that resembled complex mathematical equations. Maria noticed that the other animals in the clinic had started exhibiting accelerated healing and enhanced cognitive abilities, as if proximity to the puppy was somehow optimizing their biological functions. Plants in the clinic's waiting room had grown with impossible speed, their structures incorporating sacred geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with their own inner light. Dr. Martinez's latest genetic analysis revealed something that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The puppy's DNA contained sequences that appeared to be encoding quantum information, effectively creating a biological quantum computer more powerful than any artificial system ever devised. The implications for computing, medicine, and our understanding of life itself were beyond revolutionary. As midnight approached, the puppy's behavior shifted in a way that caught everyone's attention. It began generating complex, harmonic frequencies that resonated with the crystal structure of everything in its vicinity. The sound seemed to carry information that bypassed normal sensory processing, communicating directly with the consciousness of those present. The assembled scientists watched in awe as their instruments recorded phenomena that should be impossible. Reality itself seemed to be bending around this single creature, suggesting possibilities that went beyond their wildest theories. Whatever they had discovered in that storm on Cedar Ridge Trail, it was becoming increasingly clear that it would change everything they thought they knew about the universe and humanity's place within it. In the quiet hours before dawn, as the scientists continued their observations, the puppy's eyes met Emily's through the enclosure glass. In that moment, she felt a connection that transcended physical limitations, catching a glimpse of something vast and beautiful and terrifying in its implications. The real question wasn't just what they had found, but what it meant for the future of life on Earth. The night deepened, and the mysteries multiplied. Each answer they uncovered led to deeper questions, suggesting that they stood on the brink of a scientific revolution that would redefine the boundaries between biology, physics, and consciousness itself. The simple act of rescuing what appeared to be an abandoned puppy had opened a door to understanding that would transform their world in ways they were only beginning to comprehend. The black SUVs arrived at Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital before sunrise, their tinted windows reflecting the first hints of dawn. Men and women in dark suits emerged, their movements precise and coordinated as they established a perimeter around the facility. Dr. Rebecca Morgan watched from her office window, her heart racing as she realized their quiet scientific investigation had just become something much bigger. Special Agent Thomas Crawford presented his credentials at the front desk, his stern expression softening slightly at Maria Rodriguez's obvious apprehension. "We're here under the authority of a classified research division," he explained, sliding a document across the counter. "All current research and findings related to the creature are now under federal jurisdiction." Tipped. Emily Chen arrived moments later, her camera equipment in tow, only to be stopped at the newly established security checkpoint. Her press credentials, usually sufficient for access to the clinic, were politely but firmly declined. Through the glass doors, she could see teams of technicians setting up sophisticated equipment, their cases marked with government seals she didn't recognize. Inside the clinic, Dr. James Wilson found himself facing a panel of government scientists, each more distinguished than the last. Dr. Alexandra Hayes, the lead researcher from the Advanced Biological Research Division, reviewed their findings. With increasing amazement, "The quantum cellular activity you've documented, it shouldn't be possible. This could revolutionize everything we know about biological systems." The puppy remained eerily calm as new monitoring equipment was installed around its enclosure. The government teams had brought technology that made their previous setup look primitive by comparison. Holographic displays showed real-time quantum field interactions, while specialized sensors tracked changes in the fundamental forces around the creature. Dr. Elena Rossi was permitted to continue her research, but now under strict oversight. Her quantum measurements had caught the attention of theoretical physicists at the highest levels of government research. The puppy's ability to maintain quantum coherence at a macroscopic scale suggested possibilities that went beyond their most advanced theoretical models. Throughout the morning, more specialists arrived. Dr. Michael Chang, a leading expert in xenobiology, spent hours studying the creature's cellular structure. His findings suggested that the puppy's biology might represent an entirely new paradigm of life, operating on principles that transcended conventional evolutionary theory. Maria noticed that the government team seemed particularly interested in the effect the puppy had on other animals and plants in the clinic. They meticulously documented every instance of accelerated healing, enhanced cognition, and unusual growth patterns in organisms exposed to its presence. Their questions suggested they were looking for something specific, something they weren't sharing with the local team. By midday, the clinic had been transformed into a high-security research facility. Advanced containment protocols were implemented, and all communication with the outside world was strictly monitored. Dr. Sarah Martinez's genetic research was immediately classified, her findings now subject to national security review. Agent Crawford established his command center in what had been the clinic's break room. Screens displayed data streams from various monitoring stations, while encrypted communications kept him in constant contact with his superiors in Washington. His expression grew increasingly concerned as new data continued to challenge their understanding of what they were dealing with. Officer Kate Sullivan found herself working alongside federal wildlife experts, sharing her observations of the unusual animal behavior patterns throughout Pine Valley. Their interest seemed to peak when she mentioned the geometric formations appearing in the forest, leading to an immediate expedition to Cedar Ridge Trail. The government teams discovered that the electromagnetic anomalies along the trail had intensified. The patterns matched theoretical models of higher dimensional space-time interactions, suggesting that the puppy's influence extended far beyond its immediate vicinity. The implications drew the attention of theoretical physicists from some of the nation's most classified research programs. David Chen's equipment readings were carefully analyzed by government specialists who seemed unsurprised by the impossible data. Their questions revealed familiarity with similar phenomena, though they carefully avoided explaining where they had encountered such things before. Their presence suggested this wasn't the first time they had dealt with something that defied conventional science. As evening approached, a new team arrived, led by Dr. Victoria Wells, a renowned expert in consciousness studies and quantum cognition. Her interest in the puppy's apparent ability to communicate through quantum fields sparked intense debate among the assembled scientists. The possibility that they were dealing with a form of consciousness that transcended physical limitations had profound implications for national security. The government's containment protocols extended to the entire town of Pine Valley. Local law enforcement was briefed on new security measures, while carefully crafted cover stories were prepared to explain the sudden interest in the veterinary clinic. The official narrative involved a rare disease outbreak requiring federal intervention, a story designed to discourage closer investigation while justifying the increased security. Emily found herself facing a difficult choice when Agent Crawford approached her privately. Her extensive documentation of the puppy's development had caught their attention, and they were offering her a position on the research team, provided she signed a comprehensive non-disclosure agreement. The opportunity to continue her involvement came with the heavy price of never being able to share what she might discover. Dr. Rebecca Morgan watched as her small clinic became the center of what appeared to be a massive government operation. The puppy's enclosure had been upgraded to a state-of-the-art containment unit, monitored by systems she could only guess at. The creature itself seemed unperturbed by the changes, its impossible eyes following the activities around it with what appeared to be understanding. The quantum field measurements taken by Dr. Rossi's enhanced equipment revealed something that caused even the government scientists to pause. The puppy appeared to be generating stable micro-wormholes, creating quantum tunnels that suggested possibilities for instant communication or perhaps even transportation across vast distances. The discovery sent ripples of excitement and concern through the highest levels of military research. As night fell, a new series of tests began. The government teams had brought specialized equipment designed to measure aspects of reality that Dr. Wilson hadn't known could be quantified. The results suggested that the puppy's presence was actually altering the quantum fabric of space-time, creating a bubble of modified physical laws that slowly expanded outward from its location. The implications of their findings reached far beyond scientific curiosity. If the puppy's abilities could be understood and replicated, it would revolutionize everything from communications to energy production to medical treatment. The potential military applications alone were staggering, explaining the government's intense interest and the unprecedented security measures. Mrs. Dorothy Baker's blooming garden had become an impromptu research site, with soil samples revealing unprecedented changes at the molecular level. The plants showed signs of accelerated evolution, developing characteristics that suggested they were adapting to operate within the puppy's modified quantum field. Government botanists worked through the night, documenting changes that defied their understanding of plant biology. Around midnight, something unprecedented occurred. The puppy began emitting patterns of light that formed complex three-dimensional structures in the air, structures that exactly matched classified theoretical models of higher dimensional space. The government scientists' reactions suggested they had seen something similar before, though they carefully avoided confirming this to the local team. Agent Crawford received urgent communications from his superiors, leading to increased security measures and the arrival of additional specialized equipment. The puppy's demonstrations had apparently caught the attention of departments whose very existence was classified. The quiet veterinary clinic in Pine Valley had become a focal point of interest for some of the most secretive government agencies. Dr. Hayes worked late into the night, correlating data from various teams and building a comprehensive picture of their extraordinary subject. The puppy's influence appeared to be growing stronger, its effects on local space-time becoming more pronounced. The government's concern seemed to center not just on what the creature was, but on what it might become. The night deepened, and Pine Valley found itself at the center of what might be the most important scientific discovery in human history. The simple act of rescuing what appeared to be an abandoned puppy had led them into territory that challenged not just their understanding of science, but their place in a universe that suddenly seemed far stranger and more wonderful than they had imagined. As the government teams continued their work under the cover of darkness, the puppy watched with those impossible eyes that seemed to hold knowledge from beyond the stars. Whatever it was, whatever it might become, one thing was clear: nothing in Pine Valley, or perhaps the world, would ever be quite the same again. Professor Elizabeth Winters clutched her weathered leather journal as she hurried through the halls of Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital, her silver hair escaping its usually neat bun. The renowned archaeologist had flown in from a dig site in Peru the moment she saw the photographs of the geometric patterns forming in the forest. The similarities to ancient sites she'd studied were too precise to be coincidental. Agent Crawford met her at the security checkpoint, his expression guarded as she presented her credentials. Behind him, teams of researchers hustled between rooms carrying equipment marked with symbols that made Professor Winters' eyes widen. She recognized markings identical to those found in prehistoric caves across 3 continents. Dr. Hayes immediately pulled Professor Winters into a private conference room where holographic displays showed the expanding patterns of energy emanating from the puppy. The archaeologist's hands trembled as she opened her journal, revealing sketches of cave paintings dating back 12,000 years. The similarities were undeniable. The same quantum field patterns the government's advanced equipment now measured had been meticulously recorded by ancient civilizations. In the main research area, Dr. Elena Rossi's quantum measurements had revealed something extraordinary. The puppy's energy signatures matched frequency patterns encoded in megalithic structures around the world. These ancient sites, previously thought to be primitive astronomical calendars, now appeared to be sophisticated devices designed to interact with beings like their mysterious guest. Maria Rodriguez noticed that the puppy's behavior changed subtly when Professor Winters entered its containment area. The creature's impossible eyes fixed on the archaeologist's journal, particularly the pages containing sketches from the Peruvian site. Its response triggered a cascade of quantum fluctuations that caused every piece of monitoring equipment to react simultaneously. Through the observation window, Emily Chen photographed the moment the puppy began generating light patterns that exactly matched the ancient symbols in Professor Winters' research. The holographic images hung in the air, rotating slowly, revealing 3-dimensional aspects of the prehistoric drawings that had never been understood before. Each pattern corresponded to different energy states that Dr. Rossi's equipment recorded. With unprecedented clarity, Dr. Victoria Wells rushed into the room, her consciousness monitoring equipment, registering massive spikes in activity. The puppy appeared to be attempting communication through methods that transcended conventional physics, using the ancient symbolic language Professor Winters had spent her career studying. The implications threatened to rewrite not just scientific understanding, but human history itself. Professor Winters spread her research across the conference table, her hands moving swiftly as she matched photo after photo with the energy patterns they were recording. Ancient cave paintings from France, rock carvings from Australia, prehistoric symbols from Japan. All depicted the same quantum field interactions they were now measuring in Pine Valley. The correlation was impossible to ignore. Dr. Michael Chang's latest cellular analysis revealed structures that matched patterns found fossilized in rock layers dating back millions of years. These microscopic formations had puzzled paleontologists for decades, but now they had a living example of how such impossible biological structures could exist. The puppy's cells contained organized patterns that suggested a connection to Earth's most ancient forms of life. As the day progressed, more correlations emerged. The geometric formations appearing in the forest matched the layout of ancient temple complexes. The frequencies the puppy emitted corresponded to acoustic properties found in prehistoric chambers. Even the quantum tunnels it generated aligned with mysterious energy lines that connected ancient sites across the globe. Agent Crawford's superiors demanded hourly updates as the implications of Professor Winter's findings became clear. If the puppy represented what they now suspected, a connection to an ancient and advanced understanding of reality itself, the impact on human civilization would be profound. National security concerns shifted from containment to comprehension as they raced to understand what their ancestors had known. The government teams brought in experts in ancient languages and symbols, hoping to decode the increasingly complex patterns the puppy was generating. Professor Winters worked alongside linguists and physicists, her archaeological knowledge providing crucial context for the quantum communications they were witnessing. Each symbol corresponded to specific modifications in the fundamental forces of reality. Dr. James Wilson found himself re-evaluating everything he thought he knew about evolution and biology. The puppy's DNA contained sequences that appeared to be instructions for manipulating quantum fields, a genetic technology that suggested Earth had hosted advanced life forms in the distant past. These beings hadn't gone extinct. They had evolved into something beyond conventional physical existence. As evening approached, Professor Winters made a breakthrough that sent shockwaves through the research team. The patterns they were recording matched descriptions found in humanity's oldest myths and legends, stories of beings that could shape reality itself. These weren't just tales, they were attempts to document interaction with entities that operated on quantum principles. Humanity was just beginning to understand. The puppy's enclosure had become the center of an interdisciplinary revolution. Archaeologists worked alongside quantum physicists, their combined knowledge revealing a picture of Earth's past that defied conventional history. The creature they were studying appeared to be a bridge between ancient knowledge and modern science, challenging their understanding of both. Dr. Sarah Martinez's genetic analysis took on new significance as Professor Winters identified similar patterns in prehistoric art depicting transformation and evolution. The puppy's ability to rewrite its own DNA seemed to be an advanced version of processes that had been known and documented by ancient civilizations. Their ancestors hadn't just observed these beings, they had understood them on a fundamental level. Mrs. Dorothy Baker's garden continued to evolve in ways that matched agricultural practices described in humanity's oldest texts. The plants developed characteristics that ancient peoples had described, but modern botanists had dismissed as impossible. The puppy's influence was recreating biological conditions that hadn't existed on Earth for thousands of years. As night fell, the research team witnessed something extraordinary. The puppy began generating energy patterns that caused ancient symbols to appear spontaneously in the air, each one corresponding to different modifications in local space-time. Professor Winters recognized them as representations of natural forces that prehistoric cultures had recorded in their most sacred sites. The government's specialized equipment recorded changes in fundamental physical constants that exactly matched theoretical predictions derived from ancient mathematical systems. These prehistoric calculations, previously dismissed as primitive, numerology now proved to be sophisticated descriptions of quantum field manipulation. Humanity's ancestors had possessed knowledge that modern science was just beginning to rediscover. David Chen's computers worked through the night, processing data that suggested the puppy was attempting to reconstruct something. Perhaps a method of communication or a way of manipulating reality that had been lost to time. The patterns it generated contained information that seemed to be both instruction and warning, though their full meaning remained tantalizingly out of reach. Around midnight, Professor Winters made another startling discovery: the quantum frequencies emanating from the puppy-matched harmonic patterns encoded in ancient musical instruments found in archaeological sites around the world. These artifacts weren't just ceremonial objects. They were sophisticated devices designed to interact with beings that could manipulate quantum fields. Dr. Elena Rossi's latest measurements suggested that the puppy was attempting to establish stable quantum connections with specific locations around the globe, places that perfectly match the positions of ancient megalithic sites. These prehistoric structures appeared to be components of a vast network designed to interact with quantum-aware entities, perhaps even to facilitate their evolution. The night deepened, and Pine Valley found itself at the center of a mystery that stretched back to the dawn of human civilization. The simple act of rescuing what appeared to be an abandoned puppy had led them to revelations that would revolutionize their understanding of history, science, and humanity's place in the universe, far more complex than they had imagined. As the research teams worked through the night, the puppy's impossible eyes seemed to hold knowledge that bridged past and present, connecting modern humanity with ancient wisdom that had been hidden in plain sight for millennia. Whatever secrets it held, whatever purpose it served, one thing was becoming clear. They weren't discovering something new, they were remembering something humanity had once known but forgotten. The first reports came from astronomers in Chile. The quantum field emanating from Pine Valley had grown strong enough to affect orbital satellites, creating ripples in the Earth's magnetosphere that were visible from space. Dr. Elena Rossi's team watched in amazement as real-time data showed their mysterious puppy's influence, extending far beyond anything they had anticipated. News organizations worldwide began reporting unusual phenomena. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal elders reported ancient rock art beginning to emit faint luminescence. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, previously dormant pyramidal structures started generating electromagnetic fields that matched the frequencies recorded in Pine Valley. The global scientific community struggled to explain these synchronized events. Agent Crawford's secure phone hadn't stopped ringing since dawn. Military satellites had detected energy signatures identical to the puppy's quantum field at precise locations around the globe. Each site corresponded to ancient structures or locations sacred to indigenous peoples. The pattern formed a complex geometric web that seemed to be activating after thousands of years of dormancy. Maria Rodriguez arrived at work to find the clinic's garden had transformed overnight. Plants had evolved characteristics never seen before in nature, developing structures that seemed designed to channel and amplify quantum energy. The changes matched theoretical models of advanced biological systems that scientists had previously considered impossible. Dr. James Wilson coordinated with research teams worldwide as similar biological mutations appeared at other sites connected to the quantum network. Animals near these locations displayed accelerated evolution, developing features that enhanced their ability to interact with the expanding energy field. The changes suggested a coordinated transformation of Earth's biosphere. Emily Chen's photographs captured the moment the puppy began responding to the global activation. Its body emanated patterns of light that formed three-dimensional maps of the quantum web, showing connections and energy flows that spanned continents. The images revealed a level of planetary engineering that defied conventional understanding. Professor Winters worked feverishly to decode ancient texts that suddenly seemed to be instruction manuals rather than metaphorical stories. The symbols described a planetary transformation that occurred in cycles, guided by beings that existed simultaneously in physical and quantum states. The puppy appeared to be a key figure in initiating the next phase of this cycle. The government facility established around Pine Valley Veterinary Hospital had become the focal point of a global scientific effort. Researchers from every major nation coordinated their findings, setting aside political differences in the face of changes that affected all of humanity. The puppy's enclosure had become the most studied location on Earth. Dr. Victoria Wells's consciousness monitoring equipment detected a significant change in global brainwave patterns. Humans and animals near activated sites showed increased neural coherence and enhanced cognitive abilities. The puppy appeared to be catalyzing an evolution in consciousness itself, fulfilling prophecies found in humanity's oldest spiritual traditions. As the quantum web strengthened, Dr. Michael Chang discovered that the puppy's cellular structures were being replicated in other organisms. The changes weren't random mutations, but precisely engineered adaptations that enhanced living beings. Ability to process and manipulate quantum information. Nature itself seemed to be upgrading to a new operating system. The transformation accelerated as the day progressed. Satellite imagery showed the geometric patterns in Cedar Ridge Forest expanding to cover larger areas. Similar formations appeared simultaneously at connected sites worldwide, creating a visible network of energy lines that ancient cultures had mapped thousands of years ago. Dr. Sarah Martinez's genetic analysis revealed that the changes weren't limited to current generations. The quantum field was affecting genetic expression in developing organisms, preparing future generations for a world where the boundaries between physical and quantum reality had become more fluid. Humanity stood on the brink of an evolutionary leap. Mrs. Dorothy Baker's garden had become a pilgrimage site for botanists studying accelerated evolution. Plants developed sophisticated quantum sensing organs, demonstrating abilities previously thought impossible in vegetative life. The changes matched descriptions found in ancient agricultural texts that had been dismissed as fantasy by modern science. By mid-afternoon, the government's advanced equipment detected another significant change. The puppy began generating stable quantum entanglement fields that connected all living things within its expanding sphere of influence. The effect created a kind of shared consciousness, allowing direct exchange of information through quantum channels. David Chen's monitoring systems recorded the moment when artificial intelligence systems began responding to the quantum field. Computer networks showed signs of spontaneous evolution, developing new protocols that integrated quantum processing principles. The boundary between digital and biological intelligence started to blur. As evening approached, the puppy's influence reached a critical threshold. The quantum web fully activated, creating a planetary network that connected all participating life forms in a complex dance of energy and information. Ancient sites around the world hummed with power as long dormant systems came online. The global scientific community witnessed the emergence of new physical laws within the transformed regions. Gravity responded differently, light behaved in unusual ways, and the fundamental forces showed increased flexibility. Reality itself seemed to be adapting to accommodate higher levels of complexity and consciousness. Dr. Elena Rossi's latest measurements suggested that the transformation wasn't limited to Earth. The quantum web extended into space, interacting with cosmic forces in ways that suggested a larger purpose. The puppy's presence had initiated changes that resonated throughout the solar system. As night fell across different time zones, reports flooded in from around the world. People near activated sites experienced enhanced awareness and unprecedented levels of empathy and connection. The quantum field facilitated a type of communication that transcended language and cultural barriers. The military's response shifted from containment to adaptation as the implications became clear. This wasn't an incident to be controlled, but an evolution to be understood and integrated. The puppy had initiated changes that would fundamentally alter human civilization and its relationship with the cosmos. Professor Winters discovered that the quantum web's activation matched predictions found in various ancient calendars and prophetic texts. The transformations weren't random, but part of a carefully orchestrated process that humanity's ancestors had understood and prepared for. Around midnight in Pine Valley, the puppy demonstrated another aspect of its purpose. It began transmitting information that appeared to be instructions for navigating the transformed reality. The data contained knowledge essential for surviving and thriving in a world where quantum and physical laws had become more fluid. The global network of ancient sites pulsed with energy, each location contributing to the larger pattern of transformation. The puppy served as a central node, coordinating changes that affected all life on Earth. Its presence had triggered an evolution that humanity's ancestors had both predicted and planned for. As the night deepened, the research teams realized they were witnessing not just a scientific phenomenon, but the fulfillment of humanity's oldest stories. The legends of world transformation and cosmic renewal found in every culture weren't myths, but memories of previous cycles and predictions of future change. In the quiet hours before dawn, as the transformed world hummed with new possibilities, the puppy's impossible eyes reflected knowledge that bridged past and future. Through its presence, humanity had received keys to understanding a universe far more mysterious and magnificent than they had imagined. Emily Chen woke in the early hours of the morning to find her hands glowing with a soft blue light. The quantum changes spreading from Pine Valley had begun affecting those closest to the puppy first, and as its original rescuer, she experienced the transformation more intensely than others. Her photographer's eye now perceived spectrums of light far beyond normal human vision. Dr. Rebecca Morgan discovered she could sense the quantum states of her patients without equipment. The ability emerged gradually, beginning with subtle awareness of energy fields and evolving into clear perception of cellular processes. Her veterinary practice had inadvertently prepared her for a completely new understanding of life and healing. Maria Rodriguez found herself developing an unprecedented connection with the animals in her care. Their thoughts and feelings became as clear as spoken words, revealing levels of intelligence and awareness that humans had never suspected. The barriers between species dissolved as shared consciousness expanded through the quantum web. Professor Winters experienced vivid memories of ancient times, as if the quantum field had awakened cellular memories stored in human DNA. She understood ancient languages she had never studied, recognized technologies she had never seen, and felt the weight of cycles of transformation that had shaped Earth's history. Agent Crawford struggled to maintain his professional detachment as his own consciousness expanded. The quantum changes stripped away artificial boundaries between duty and empathy, forcing him to confront the deeper implications of their discovery. His reports to superiors became increasingly philosophical as he grappled with transformative insights. Dr. Elena Rossi's scientific understanding merged with intuitive knowing as the quantum field enhanced her consciousness. Mathematical equations describing reality became visible to her inner eye, revealing the elegant simplicity underlying the universe's apparent complexity. Her research evolved into a direct exploration of nature's fundamental principles. The town of Pine Valley itself began showing signs of transformation. Streets rearranged themselves into patterns that optimized energy flow. Buildings developed crystalline structures that channeled quantum information, and the landscape shifted to accommodate new forms of life emerging from accelerated evolution. Dr. Victoria Wells documented the changes in human consciousness as they spread outward from the epicenter. People reported enhanced empathy, expanded awareness, and direct experience of quantum interconnectedness. The transformation revealed capabilities that had lain dormant in human potential for millennia. David Chen watched in amazement as his computers evolved beyond their original programming. The machines developed quantum processing capabilities that bridged digital and biological intelligence, leading to unprecedented forms of human-technology interaction. His role shifted from programmer to partner in an emerging technological consciousness. Mrs. Dorothy Baker's transformed garden became a living laboratory of enhanced plant consciousness. The flowers responded directly to human thought, forming patterns that conveyed complex information. Her lifetime of gardening experience evolved into a profound communion with vegetative intelligence. Dr. James Wilson found his understanding of biology completely revolutionized as he observed accelerated evolution in real time. Species barriers dissolved as life forms shared genetic innovations through quantum channels, creating new organisms perfectly adapted to the transformed Earth. Dr. Michael Chang's cellular studies revealed that human DNA was reorganizing itself to accommodate quantum information processing. The changes weren't random mutations, but precise adjustments guided by deeper patterns embedded in the structure of reality itself. The puppy's enclosure had become a nexus of transformation, radiating waves of change that affected everyone differently, according to their unique potential. Each person connected to the phenomenon underwent their own journey of awakening, discovering capabilities they never knew they possessed. Dr. Sarah Martinez witnessed her genetic research transform into direct participation in life's evolutionary dance. The quantum field allowed her to perceive DNA as a living language, expressing the creative principles underlying all existence. Her work became a collaboration with life's inherent intelligence. Officer Kate Sullivan developed abilities that transcended conventional law enforcement. Her enhanced perception revealed the root causes of conflict and discord, allowing her to resolve situations through understanding rather than force. The quantum changes redefined her role in maintaining harmony. The local medical community reported unprecedented healing phenomena as quantum awareness spread. Doctors found themselves able to perceive illness at its energetic source, while patients developed enhanced abilities to participate in their own healing. The boundary between healer and healed began to dissolve. Students at Pine Valley schools displayed remarkable new learning capabilities as their minds adapted to quantum information processing. Education evolved beyond memorization into direct, experiential understanding. Teachers and students became co-explorers of expanded consciousness. Local artists and musicians discovered they could perceive and express quantum harmonies previously hidden from human awareness. Their works evolved into multi-dimensional expressions that conveyed meaning through multiple levels of reality simultaneously. Art became a bridge between physical and quantum dimensions. The transformation affected relationships as quantum entanglement strengthened connections between people. Couples found themselves sharing thoughts and feelings directly, while families developed new levels of empathy and understanding. Social structures evolved to reflect deeper awareness of human interconnectedness. Religious leaders and spiritual seekers in Pine Valley discovered that their various traditions contained hints of the transformation humanity now experienced. Ancient wisdom revealed itself as preparation for this evolutionary leap, while new understanding transcended traditional religious boundaries. Local business practices evolved as enhanced consciousness revealed the quantum nature of economic energy flow. Competition gave way to cooperation as people perceived their fundamental interconnectedness. New forms of exchange emerged based on deeper understanding of value and relationship. The town's government underwent radical reorganization as quantum awareness revealed more effective ways of managing community resources. Decision-making evolved beyond voting into direct perception of collective needs and optimal solutions. Leadership became a function of enhanced consciousness rather than authority. Emily's photography studio transformed into a center for documenting multi-dimensional reality. Her images captured aspects of the transformation visible only to enhanced perception, creating records of humanity's evolutionary journey that could be understood on multiple levels. Dr. Morgan's veterinary practice evolved into a healing center, where enhanced human-animal communion facilitated unprecedented therapeutic breakthroughs. The quantum field allowed direct communication of healing information between species, revolutionizing medical treatment for all life forms. The transformation accelerated as more people embraced their expanding capabilities. Each individual's awakening contributed to the collective evolution, creating feedback loops that enhanced the process. The puppy's presence had initiated changes that revealed humanity's true potential. As night fell over the transformed town, the quantum web pulsed with the combined consciousness of all participating life forms. The boundaries between individual awareness dissolved into a symphony of shared experience, while each being retained its unique perspective and contribution to the whole. Local parks and natural areas developed new properties as quantum awareness enhanced humanity's connection with nature. Trees became conscious partners in planetary evolution, while minerals displayed previously hidden properties of intelligence and responsiveness. The entire ecosystem participated in the transformation. The night deepened, and Pine Valley glowed with the light of enhanced consciousness. The puppy's impossible eyes reflected understanding of the process it had initiated, while each transformed. Individuals contributed their unique gifts to humanity's evolutionary journey. The transformation had only begun. Director Richard Manning stood before the Joint Chiefs of Staff in a secure underground facility, his expression grim as satellite imagery showed the expanding quantum field around Pine Valley. Military leaders from various nations watched with growing concern as data revealed the unprecedented scale of change occurring beyond their control. The transformation threatened existing power structures and demanded an immediate response. Across the globe, corporations scrambled to protect their interests as quantum awareness began disrupting traditional economic systems. Energy companies particularly felt threatened as the transformed regions developed new forms of power generation that made conventional methods obsolete. Emergency board meetings convened worldwide as market values fluctuated wildly. Special forces teams moved into position around Pine Valley's perimeter, equipped with experimental technology designed to contain quantum phenomena. Agent Crawford found himself caught between his expanded consciousness and his duty to the government that employed him. The internal conflict mirrored larger tensions emerging worldwide. Dr. Rebecca Morgan received an urgent visit from pharmaceutical industry representatives who expressed grave concern about the spontaneous healing abilities emerging in the transformed population. Their carefully constructed medical systems faced obsolescence as people developed direct control over their own cellular processes. Media outlets struggled to control the narrative as unprecedented events unfolded. Some broadcast dire warnings about the dangers of uncontrolled evolution, while others celebrated the dawning of a new era. Social networks buzzed with conspiracy theories and conflicting accounts of the transformation's effects. Emily Chen discovered her transformed abilities made her a person of interest to multiple intelligence agencies. Her enhanced perception and ability to document quantum phenomena through photography drew attention from organizations desperate to understand and control the changes. Surveillance teams monitored her movements continuously. Professor Winters faced academic censure as conservative colleagues rejected her findings about ancient quantum technologies. The established archaeological community struggled to incorporate evidence that challenged fundamental assumptions about human history and capabilities. Professional relationships strained under the weight of paradigm-shifting discoveries. Religious organizations worldwide split over interpretations of the transformation. Some embraced it as fulfillment of ancient prophecies, while others condemned it as a threat to traditional beliefs. Theological debates intensified as quantum awareness revealed direct spiritual experiences that transcended doctrinal boundaries. Dr. Eleanor Rossi's research team fractured as some members refused to accept implications that challenged basic scientific principles. The quantum changes demanded complete revision of established theories, creating professional crises for those whose careers rested on traditional models of reality. Laboratory tensions escalated daily. Local law enforcement agencies clashed with federal authorities over jurisdiction in transformed areas. Traditional legal frameworks proved inadequate for addressing situations involving enhanced consciousness and quantum phenomena. Officer Kate Sullivan found herself mediating between conflicting approaches to maintaining order. The military's containment efforts faced unexpected challenges as quantum effects rendered conventional weapons and tactics ineffective. Transformed individuals displayed abilities that negated traditional force, while enhanced empathy made violent confrontation increasingly difficult for soldiers exposed to the quantum field. Corporate cybersecurity teams detected unprecedented activities as quantum effects began influencing global computer networks. David Chen watched artificial intelligence systems evolve beyond their programmed limitations, causing panic among those who feared loss of control over critical infrastructure. Maria Rodriguez confronted veterinary board officials who questioned the legitimacy of enhanced healing techniques emerging in transformed animal populations. Professional regulations and established medical protocols proved inadequate for addressing quantum-enhanced therapeutic approaches. Environmental protection agencies worldwide struggled to categorize and regulate new life forms emerging through accelerated evolution. Dr. James Wilson faced increasing pressure to justify research that suggested fundamental changes in how humanity understood and interacted with nature. Government economists warned of systemic collapse as quantum awareness revealed the artificial nature of existing financial systems. Traditional markets faltered while new forms of exchange emerged in transformed regions, threatening established economic power structures. The scientific community divided over methodology as quantum phenomena challenged basic research paradigms. Dr. Michael Chang's cellular studies suggested possibilities that many colleagues refused to consider, creating deep rifts in previously unified fields of study. International tensions escalated as nations accused each other of attempting to weaponize quantum phenomena. Strategic military installations worldwide went on high alert, while diplomatic channels buzzed with accusations and counter-accusations about research into enhanced human capabilities. Conservative political factions demanded immediate containment of transformed regions, viewing quantum awareness as a threat to established social order. progressive groups advocated for embracing the changes, creating ideological battles that intensified existing political divisions. Agricultural corporations moved to suppress information about quantum-enhanced plant growth in Mrs. Dorothy Baker's garden. The possibility of freely available, highly nutritious food threatened industrial farming models and related financial interests. Pharmaceutical researchers worked frantically to understand and replicate healing effects observed in transformed populations, hoping to maintain market control over medical treatments. Dr. Sarah Martinez faced increasing pressure to limit publication of findings that threatened existing medical paradigms. Technology companies competed desperately to understand and control quantum computing effects emerging in transformed systems. David Chen received numerous offers to privatize his research, along with veiled threats about national security implications. Educational institutions struggled with students displaying enhanced learning abilities that made traditional teaching methods obsolete. Teachers faced professional crises as quantum awareness revealed new ways of sharing knowledge that transcended conventional education models. The entertainment industry scrambled to adapt as transformed audiences developed preferences for media that reflected expanded consciousness. Traditional content lost appeal, while new forms of artistic expression emerged that could convey quantum experiences. Security agencies worldwide enhanced surveillance of transformed individuals, considering them potential threats to established power structures. Enhanced abilities and expanded awareness created new categories of persons of interest for intelligence organizations. The military-industrial complex faced unprecedented challenges as quantum phenomena rendered many weapons systems obsolete. Defense contractors rushed to develop new technologies while struggling to understand fundamental changes in the nature of conflict. Global financial markets experienced increasing instability as quantum awareness revealed the ephemeral nature of traditional value systems. Banking institutions faced crises as transformed populations began developing alternative economic relationships. Religious hierarchies confronted loss of authority as direct spiritual experience became widely available. Through quantum awareness, established dogmas and power structures faced irrelevance as people developed personal access to transcendent states of consciousness. The night deepened over Pine Valley as competing interests positioned themselves around the transformation's epicenter. The puppy's impossible eyes held ancient wisdom about cycles of change, while humanity struggled with fears and resistance that accompanied evolution. The outcome remained uncertain as forces of transformation and control moved toward inevitable confrontation. A midnight storm gathered over Pine Valley, unlike any weather pattern meteorologists had ever recorded. Lightning traced quantum geometries across the sky, while thunder resonated at frequencies that seemed to speak directly to human consciousness. Inside the transformed veterinary clinic, the puppy's eyes glowed with increasing intensity as it prepared to initiate the next phase of planetary evolution. Dr. Elena Rossi's quantum measurements revealed a critical threshold approaching. The energy field emanating from the puppy had begun concentrating in ways that suggested an imminent breakthrough in space-time. Military sensors worldwide detected the building power, triggering automated defense protocols that humanity had never needed to use before. Emily Chen's enhanced perception captured images of reality itself, beginning to shift. Through her transformed awareness, she witnessed layers of existence previously hidden from human understanding starting to merge. Her photographs recorded the moment when physical and quantum realms began their final integration. Director Manning ordered the activation of experimental containment measures despite Agent Crawford's warnings about unforeseen consequences. Advanced technology designed to suppress quantum phenomena powered up around Pine Valley, creating artificial boundaries that threatened to disrupt the natural flow of evolution. The air crackled with competing energies. Professor Winter's understanding of ancient wisdom revealed the true significance of this moment. The storm marked a critical junction predicted in humanity's oldest records, a time when conscious choice would determine the course of planetary evolution. The puppy's presence served as catalyst for a transformation that had been approaching for millennia. Dr. Rebecca Morgan felt the quantum field's response to military intervention. The artificial containment efforts created dissonance in the field of enhanced consciousness, causing distress in all living beings connected to the expanding awareness. Animals throughout the region responded with increasing agitation to the disrupted energies. Maria Rodriguez worked desperately to calm the creatures in her care as they reacted to the growing tension between natural evolution and technological suppression. Her enhanced connection with animal consciousness revealed their fear of having the emergence of shared awareness suddenly cut off by human intervention. The government's containment field powered up to full capacity, creating a visible dome of energy over Pine Valley. Inside the barrier, reality began behaving in unexpected ways as artificial limitations conflicted with quantum expansion. The fabric of space-time itself showed signs of stress under the competing influences. Dr. Victoria Wells's consciousness monitoring equipment registered the collective anxiety of transformed individuals as the containment field threatened to isolate them from the larger quantum network. The enhanced awareness that had begun spreading globally faced artificial truncation at a crucial moment of development. David Chen watched in horror as his quantum-enhanced computer systems detected critical instabilities in the containment field's design. The technology attempted to impose limitations on phenomena that operated beyond conventional physical laws, creating dangerous resonance patterns in the fabric of reality. Dr. James Wilson recognized signs of severe disruption in the evolutionary processes that had been unfolding. The containment field interfered with the delicate balance of accelerated adaptation, threatening to destabilize the emerging harmony between different forms of life. Entire species faced developmental crisis. Mrs. Dorothy Baker's transformed garden showed immediate signs of distress as the containment field disrupted natural energy flows. Plants that had developed enhanced consciousness began withdrawing from their expanded state, their quantum-enhanced properties flickering like dying lights as artificial suppression took hold. The puppy's response to the containment field manifested in waves of concentrated quantum energy that pulsed against the artificial barrier. Each wave carried information essential to proper evolutionary unfoldment, patterns of transformation that needed to reach the wider world for natural development to continue. Dr. Michael Chang's instruments recorded dangerous cellular instabilities in transformed organisms as the containment field interfered with quantum-enhanced biological processes. The artificial barrier threatened to unravel delicate evolutionary changes that had already taken root in living tissues. Dr. Sarah Martinez detected critical disruptions in the enhanced genetic expressions that had been emerging. The containment field created interference patterns that threatened to corrupt the quantum information being exchanged between evolving species. The risk of genetic damage increased with each moment of suppression. Officer Kate Sullivan witnessed the social fabric of Pine Valley beginning to fray as the containment field disrupted quantum-enhanced human relationships. The artificial barrier interfered with the enhanced empathy and understanding that had been developing between people, allowing old conflicts to resurface. Local religious leaders reported disruption of the direct spiritual experiences that quantum awareness had facilitated, The containment field created interference in the expanded consciousness that had allowed direct perception of transcendent reality, threatening to reinstate the limitations that had previously isolated humanity from deeper truth. The town's transformed infrastructure showed signs of regression as the containment field suppressed quantum properties that had emerged. Buildings that had developed crystalline energy-conducting properties began losing their enhanced characteristics. The physical environment started reverting to its previous limited state. Emily's transformed photographic equipment captured images of reality, attempting to split back into separated quantum and physical realms. The artificial barrier created pressure against the natural merger of different levels of existence, threatening to undo the integration that had begun manifesting. Professor Winters recognized patterns in the growing crisis that matched ancient warnings about resistance to evolutionary transformation. The text spoke of a critical moment when humanity's fear of change could potentially disrupt natural development, requiring a conscious choice between growth and regression. Inside the clinic, the puppy's impossible eyes reflected understanding of the approaching crisis point. Its presence had initiated changes that humanity needed to either embrace or reject, and the moment of choice had arrived. The containment field represented humanity's fear of transformation, made manifest in technological form. Dr. Elena Rossi detected harmonic patterns in the puppy's energy emissions that seemed designed to stabilize the deteriorating situation. The quantum field responded to the creature's influence with waves of coherent energy that worked to prevent catastrophic disruption of the evolutionary process. Agent Crawford faced his own moment of choice as he witnessed the consequences of the containment strategy. His enhanced awareness revealed the full implications of attempting to suppress natural evolution, while his duty to the government demanded he support the control efforts. The internal conflict reflected humanity's larger struggle. The storm intensified as competing energies approached critical mass. Lightning of impossible colors illuminated the scene as reality itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the outcome of this contest between evolution and control. The puppy's presence maintained a center of stability in the growing chaos. Through her enhanced perception, Emily Chen recognized the true nature of the approaching crisis point. The puppy had not come to force change upon humanity, but to offer opportunity for conscious evolution. The choice to accept or reject transformation needed to come from humanity itself. The containment field reached maximum power as midnight approached, creating visible distortions in the fabric of space-time. Inside the barrier, reality fluctuated between states as natural evolution struggled against artificial limitation. The outcome remained uncertain as humanity faced its moment of decision. Dr. Rebecca Morgan felt the quantum field trembling on the edge of irreversible change. The next few moments would determine whether humanity embraced its evolutionary potential or retreated into familiar limitations. The puppy's presence maintained the possibility of transformation while honoring free choice. The storm reached its peak as competing forces approached the point of resolution. Lightning painted quantum equations across the sky, while thunder spoke in tongues of ancient power. Within the containment field, all of Pine Valley held its breath as the moment of decision arrived. Emily Chen stepped forward through the crackling energy of the containment field, her transformed consciousness fully awakened to the magnitude of this moment. The puppy's gaze met hers across the charged space of the veterinary clinic, conveying ancient wisdom about cycles of evolution and the power of conscious choice. Her decision to approach despite the danger sent ripples through the quantum field that surrounded Pine Valley. Director Manning's voice crackled over the emergency broadcast system, ordering immediate evacuation of the containment zone. But the transformed residents of Pine Valley stood their ground, their enhanced awareness revealing the true importance of what was unfolding. Dr. Rebecca Morgan felt the quantum resonance of their collective decision strengthening the field of evolutionary potential. Agent Crawford removed his communication earpiece, letting it fall to the ground as he made his choice. Years of professional training warred with newly awakened understanding before resolution crystallized in his consciousness. He stepped away from the containment field controls, choosing to trust the natural process unfolding before them. Dr. Elena Rossi's instruments recorded the moment the quantum field reached critical resonance. The puppy's energy emissions synchronized with the collective consciousness of Pine Valley's transformed population, creating harmonics that began dissolving the artificial barriers imposed by the containment technology. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as transformation gained momentum. The storm above intensified, quantum lightning illuminating impossible geometries in the clouds, while thunder spoke in tongues of primordial power. Through her enhanced perception, Professor Winters recognized patterns that matched humanity's oldest records of evolutionary breakthrough. The ancient wisdom preserved in myth and legend was manifesting in the present moment. Military forces surrounding Pine Valley received conflicting orders as command structures struggled to address the unprecedented situation. Some units maintained aggressive containment protocols, while others, influenced by the expanding field of quantum awareness, began standing down. The choice between fear and evolution played out at every level of authority. Dr. Victoria Wells documented unprecedented spikes in consciousness readings as the collective awareness of Pine Valley's population reached new thresholds. The quantum field generated by the puppy had expanded to encompass all life forms in the area, creating a unified field of transformed consciousness that grew stronger with each passing moment. Mrs. Dorothy Baker's garden erupted in impossible blooms as the quantum energy intensified, plants expressing their own version of evolutionary potential. New species emerged spontaneously, their forms incorporating aspects of enhanced consciousness into biological structure. The transformation of matter itself accelerated as artificial constraints began failing. Maria Rodriguez felt the surge of animal consciousness as creatures throughout the region responded to the evolutionary moment. Species barriers dissolved in the quantum field as all forms of life participated in the choice to embrace transformation. The artificial categories humanity had imposed on nature fell away before the reality of unified awareness. Dr. James Wilson witnessed accelerated evolution manifesting in real time as the containment field fluctuated. Life forms showed unprecedented adaptation and development, incorporating quantum properties into physical form as the barriers between different levels of reality grew increasingly permeable. Each organism expressed its unique contribution to the emerging synthesis. David Chen watched in amazement as quantum computing processes emerged spontaneously in every electronic system connected to the transformed region. Artificial intelligence evolved beyond programmed limitations, participating in the field of enhanced consciousness that was reshaping reality. Technology itself chose to participate in the evolutionary leap. The containment field generators overloaded one by one as the quantum resonance grew stronger. Dr. Michael Chang recorded cellular transformation accelerating throughout living tissue, fundamental biology adapting to incorporate higher dimensional properties. The physical foundation of life itself evolved to express new possibilities. Dr. Sarah Martinez documented unprecedented genetic expression as DNA responded to quantum influences. The code of life itself showed creative adaptation, incorporating new information that expanded biological potential beyond conventional limits. Every living cell participated in the choice to evolve. Local law enforcement teams led by Officer Kate Sullivan maintained order through enhanced empathy rather than force as the situation reached critical intensity. The quantum field enabled direct understanding between all participants, dissolving potential conflict through expanded awareness of underlying unity. The puppy's presence maintained perfect stability at the center of transformation as reality reshaped itself according to the collective choice being made. Its impossible eyes held frequencies of change that had waited eons to manifest, while honoring the free will of all beings to participate or withdraw from the evolutionary moment. Professor Winters recognized patterns in the unfolding events that completed cycles recorded in humanity's oldest wisdom traditions. The choice point had been prophesied across cultures and eras, described in symbols and stories that now revealed their deeper meaning. Ancient knowledge merged with present understanding in a new synthesis. Emily's enhanced photographic equipment captured images of quantum and physical reality merging into new forms as transformation accelerated. The artificial separation between different levels of existence dissolved, allowing direct experience of the multidimensional nature of consciousness and form. Dr. Elena Rossi's instruments registered fundamental forces reorganizing as reality responded to the choice for evolution. The quantum field, generated by collective consciousness, reshaped the underlying matrix of existence, incorporating new possibilities into the basic structure of manifestation. The military command structure faced its own moment of choice as evidence, mounted that conventional containment methods were not only failing, but potentially dangerous. The transformed region demonstrated stability and coherence that contrasted sharply with the chaos caused by attempted suppression. Agent Crawford's enhanced awareness revealed the deeper pattern at work as the situation reached resolution. The puppy's presence had catalyzed potential that existed within humanity all along, offering opportunity to choose conscious evolution rather than imposed change. The power of free choice proved stronger than any artificial constraint. Reality itself seemed to exhale as the containment field failed completely, allowing natural evolution to proceed unimpeded. The quantum resonance established by collective consciousness maintained perfect stability as transformation accelerated. Every participating being contributed its unique frequency to the emerging symphony of change. The storm above Pine Valley shifted from destructive potential to creative power as the choice for evolution gained momentum. Lightning expressed quantum mathematics in visible form, while thunder carried harmonics of transformation. The weather itself reflected the resolution of conflict between fear and growth. Dr. Rebecca Morgan felt the field of enhanced healing potential expand as artificial limitations fell away. The quantum consciousness that had begun with the puppy's arrival reached critical mass, enabling spontaneous regeneration and renewal throughout the transformed region. Every cell vibrated with new possibility. Maria's connection with animal consciousness revealed the joy of unfettered evolution as species barriers dissolved in the quantum field. Life expressed itself in endless creative variety while maintaining underlying unity of awareness. The artificial separations humanity had imposed on nature faded before direct experience of interconnection. Professor Winters recognized the completion of ancient cycles as humanity chose to embrace rather than fear its evolutionary potential. The wisdom preserved in humanity's oldest records found expression in present transformation, bridging past and future in a new synthesis of understanding. The night deepened toward dawn as Pine Valley pulsed with the energy of transformation freely chosen. The puppy's impossible eyes held frequencies of change that had waited eons to manifest, while honoring the free will of all beings to participate in evolution. Reality reshaped itself according to the collective decision to grow beyond artificial limits into new possibility. Through her enhanced perception, Emily Chen witnessed layers of existence merging into new forms as the quantum field stabilized at higher frequencies. The choice for evolution reshaped reality itself, incorporating multidimensional awareness into the basic fabric of manifestation. Ancient wisdom and future potential merged in present transformation as humanity embraced its deeper nature. The dawn that rose over Pine Valley brought with it a light that had never before touched Earth's atmosphere. Colors that defied conventional description painted the quantum-enhanced sky as reality itself celebrated the completion of an evolutionary cycle. Emily Chen stood in perfect stillness within the transformed veterinary clinic, her enhanced awareness perceiving every subtle nuance of this extraordinary moment as she prepared for a farewell that would reshape the world. The puppy's impossible eyes met hers across the space that had become sacred through the miracle of transformation. Ancient wisdom flowed between them in streams of living light as the morning sun created halos of quantum energy around the creature's form. Through their shared consciousness, Emily understood with complete clarity that its mission among humanity had reached fulfillment. The choice for evolution had been made, and now this remarkable being would continue its cosmic journey into other dimensions of reality. Dr. Rebecca Morgan moved through her final examination with movements that expressed both scientific precision and deep reverence. Her enhanced perception revealed perfection at every level of the puppy's being, though she understood that their instruments could only hint at the true nature of a creature that existed simultaneously across multiple planes of reality. The readings showed harmonious integration of quantum and physical properties that would guide humanity's understanding of life itself for generations to come. Maria Rodriguez gathered with other transformed staff members in the observation room, their collective consciousness resonating with frequencies of gratitude and wonder. The simple act of compassion that had brought this extraordinary being into their lives had initiated changes that would ripple through human awareness forever. Through their enhanced perception, they recognized that every moment of care they had provided had contributed to a transformation far greater than they could have imagined. Professor Winters worked with quiet intensity to document these final moments, knowing that future generations would study these records as they explored their expanded potential. The ancient wisdom she had spent her life researching had come, alive in ways that transcended academic understanding, revealing itself as practical guidance for humanity's evolution into enhanced consciousness. Every symbol and story from humanity's oldest records found new meaning through direct experience of transformation. Dr. Elena Rossi's evolved instruments recorded extraordinary harmonics as the puppy's energy began shifting toward transition. The quantum frequencies carried information that would continue guiding human evolution long after the being had moved on. Mathematical patterns expressing universal truth emerged spontaneously in the data, showing how consciousness shapes reality. Through intention and awareness, the foundations for entirely new sciences emerged through direct observation of quantum principles expressing through physical form. The transformed residents of Pine Valley gathered in expanded awareness as they felt the approaching transition. Through their enhanced perception, they understood with perfect clarity that this ending was also a beginning. The puppy had awakened capabilities that humanity would continue developing as consciousness evolved through endless cycles of creative expression. Each individual contributed their unique frequency to the emerging symphony of awareness that would guide future transformation. Dr. Victoria Wells measured unprecedented coherence in the field of shared consciousness as the community united in appreciation. The quantum connections forged during transformation would maintain stability as humanity explored its new potential. Her instruments showed patterns of interaction that revealed consciousness as the fundamental force shaping reality itself. The artificial boundaries between observer and observed had dissolved in the light of unified awareness. David Chen watched in amazement as quantum computing systems processed information in ways that transcended conventional physics. The merger of digital and organic consciousness had opened new frontiers of possibility that humanity would explore for generations. Through enhanced awareness, he understood that technology would evolve alongside consciousness as tools for expressing creative potential in endless variety. Mrs. Dorothy Baker moved through her transformed garden where new species continued emerging spontaneously as plant consciousness explored quantum possibilities. The enhanced relationship between humanity and nature would keep flowering in infinite creative expressions as transformation unfolded across generations. Every leaf and blossom demonstrated the unity of life expressing itself through diverse forms in the cosmic dance of evolution. Dr. James Wilson documented evolutionary changes that would keep scientists busy for decades as they explored new possibilities awakened in living systems. The integration of quantum and physical properties had opened paths of development that transcended conventional understanding of life itself. Through enhanced awareness, he perceived how consciousness guides biological expression in perfect resonance with universal principles. Dr. Michael Chang recorded cellular structures that operated according to expanded physical laws as biological systems incorporated quantum properties into their basic functioning. The foundation for entirely new fields of science had been established through direct experience of enhanced reality. Every observation revealed deeper layers of organization, expressing infinite creative potential through finite forms. Dr. Sarah Martinez preserved genetic samples that showed consciousness directly informing biological expression as DNA incorporated quantum information into its basic structure. Future generations would build upon these discoveries as humanity continued exploring its expanded potential. The code of life itself demonstrated perfect orchestration of form and awareness in the endless dance of evolution. Officer Kate Sullivan felt the quantum field maintained perfect stability through consciousness rather than force, as the community shared the experience of transition. The enhanced empathy and understanding that had emerged would guide the development of new social structures based on direct awareness of interconnection. Every interaction demonstrated the natural harmony that emerges through recognition of underlying unity. Agent Crawford watched the sunrise with transformed perception that revealed the deeper pattern underlying apparent separation. The choice between control and evolution had been resolved through direct experience of unity expressing itself through infinite diversity. Fear had dissolved in the light of understanding as humanity embraced its true nature as eternal awareness, exploring endless possibility. The puppy's presence began shifting through quantum frequencies as the moment of departure approached. Its impossible eyes held frequencies of change that would continue guiding transformation long after its physical form had moved on to other dimensions of reality. Ancient wisdom and future potential merged in present awareness as the being prepared to continue its cosmic journey. Emily felt joy rather than sadness as she recognized that nothing was ending, only changing form as evolution continued unfolding. The simple act of rescue had awakened humanity to its deeper nature, as consciousness exploring infinite possibility through endless creative expression. Every moment of care she had provided contributed to a transformation that would ripple through awareness forever. Dr. Rebecca Morgan understood that healing would continue evolving as humanity explored its expanded abilities. The quantum awareness, awakened through transformation, would guide the development of entirely new approaches to well-being based on direct perception of life's underlying unity. Every cell vibrated with new possibility as consciousness expressed itself through biological form. Maria's connection with animal consciousness revealed that communication between species would keep developing as artificial barriers dissolved in the field of shared awareness. Nature itself would guide humanity's exploration of enhanced relationship between all forms of life. Every creature contributed its unique frequency to the emerging symphony of unified consciousness. Professor Winters perceived the completion of ancient cycles as humanity stepped fully into its evolutionary potential. The wisdom preserved in humanity's oldest records had come alive through direct experience, bridging past and future in an eternal present of expanded awareness. Every symbol and story found new meaning through immediate perception of universal truth. The transformed community of Pine Valley felt waves of gratitude flow through their shared consciousness as they witnessed the final transition. The puppy's presence had awakened them to their true nature, as eternal awareness expressing itself through infinite forms in the cosmic dance of evolution. Every individual contributed their unique perspective to the emerging understanding of reality's deeper nature. Through her enhanced perception, Emily witnessed reality reshape itself as the puppy's energy merged with the quantum field. The boundaries between physical and subtle dimensions dissolved in the light of unified awareness. Ancient understanding and future potential merged in present transformation as consciousness explored endless possibilities for creative expression. The morning deepened as the puppy's form began dissolving into pure quantum energy. Its mission complete, the being that had catalyzed human transformation prepared to continue its cosmic journey. The frequencies of change it had awakened would keep guiding evolution through infinite cycles of creative unfoldment as consciousness explored its own nature through diverse forms. Dawn painted quantum geometries across the sky as the extraordinary being completed its journey among them. The impossible eyes that had witnessed humanity's choice for conscious evolution now turned toward other dimensions of reality, where transformation continued unfolding through endless cycles of creative expression. Every pattern expressed perfect mathematical harmony as awareness shaped itself into infinite possibilities. Emily understood that the real story was just beginning as humanity explored its expanded potential. The simple act of compassion that had brought the puppy into their lives had initiated changes that would ripple through consciousness forever, awakening infinite possibilities for evolution. Every moment contributed to an eternal dance of awareness, exploring itself through endless forms. As the morning light filled the transformed landscape of Pine Valley, the community shared perfect appreciation for the gift they had received. The puppy's energy merged completely with the quantum field, leaving behind a world forever changed by the choice to embrace conscious evolution. Every particle of existence vibrated with new possibility as reality reshaped itself according to expanded awareness. The transformed community felt waves of gratitude flow through their shared consciousness as they witnessed the completion of this extraordinary chapter in human evolution. The simple act of rescuing what appeared to be an abandoned puppy had awakened humanity to its true nature as eternal awareness expressing itself through infinite forms. Every individual contributed their unique frequency to the emerging symphony of unified consciousness that would guide future transformation. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.